Hello, good afternoon. So we are going to start our second live session on this live marathon on the International Day Against Drug Abuse. So my guests are Cristiano Dias, who is responsible for the Free Mind Project, and Dr. João Paulo Becker Lotufo, who is a PhD in pediatrics from the University of São Paulo, and responsible for the Dr. Bartô and the Doctors of Health project. I'm going to wait for my guests to arrive and then we can begin. Cristiano is here. Hello, Cristiano. Good afternoon. Let's wait for Dr. Lotufo to come in so he can see your talk as well. So you're going to have 25 to 30 minutes approximately. Hello, Marcelo. Hello. Let's do it. I'm waiting for Dr. Lotufo in order to begin our lecture on prevention, because we know that information is of utmost importance. It's a good way to combat the problem. Dr. Lotufo is here. Okay, so first, let me invite Cristiano Dias from the Free Mind Project, and then Dr. Lotufo, João Becker Lotufo, is going to join us, okay? Hello, Flora. Are you okay? Hello, Grazi. Hello, Lu. Hello, Cristiano. Good afternoon. I'm fine. Thank you very much for asking. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. So our live session is on prevention, and I know that you have a very nice project on prevention at schools and other issues. So I would like you to talk to us a bit about such project. First, who you are and how you got interested in such task. And what is the Free Mind Project? So we're going to have approximately 25 minutes, okay? Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Lou. Good afternoon, Dr. Lotufo. I'm a big fan of your project. So I am Cristiano. I'm the coordinator of the Free Mind Project. I am addicted in recovery. I've been sober for 20 years. So the Free Mind Project began approximately 16 years ago, and we began working with prevention, drug use and abuse, alcoholism as well, the creation of support groups. And then we began a support group in our church, and we have received addicted people. And we start to realize that people haven't heard about drugs and drug prevention. So we began talking about such a problem. How can we not talk about such an important issue? They come here addicted. So we have started providing lectures, talking about drugs. And my life has been really tough. I've been addicted to alcohol, and I usually say that it is the worst drug of all because you choose it. And we have performed a project on Crackland, a project called Coffee, Hug, and Love. We realized the real deal in Crackland, the people that lived in Crackland, their lives there, their histories, their background. They had family, they were abandoned, and they were abandoned by their families because of the crack addiction. So I realized that we should work on that. And then we started working at schools in Itaboraí, São Gonçalo, Maricá, and we noticed a very sad issue there because the only group that was devoted to those schools was ProEd from the police. And we have talked to the ProEd group, and they worked with students from the 4th and 5th grade. So not students from the 6th, 7th, and high school students. It is a great project in São Gonçalo. So we have begun a partnership with them, but we couldn't get in there in those schools. We were able to enter some schools in that place, but if we carry the Proerd flag, there is a problem with traffic there. And we were talking about the reality, the real deal of the community. It's something common in their communities. So we talk about drugs, so it doesn't matter if you say that drugs are bad. In fact, that doesn't work. I've learned it in practice. Carlos Bianchini taught me that. I was attending a lecture of his, and he said, there is no use in saying that drug use is bad. Because in fact, drug can give you pleasure. And then I would talk to the students and say, drug is good, but the problem is paying for it. And the way, the path is bad. I have started consuming alcohol. Back then, there was no vodka ice vodka. My first beverage was sangria, which is a mixture of Sprite with wine. It happened in a student matinee, and students got tickets. We were there, having fun, and then I said, there's only one way of getting to the girls. By consuming alcohol. We were really ugly. In fact, we are still ugly. But I lacked emotional intelligence. And then I would wake up thinking of alcohol. My parents have never drunk alcohol or smoked cigarettes. And then I was into alcohol. And by the age of 19, I was completely surrendered to alcoholism. So that's the story of the Free Mind Project. So Chris, so your project is based on prevention by experience, right? You have begun to share your experience. Is that so? Yes, it is. My life experience. And those pieces of experience, they were experienced in groups. MA, AA. We have a group called Alcance, Reach. And then I would talk to people and tell them that at first it's a honeymoon. Everything looks great. And then suddenly things get worse. So that it is their reality in Crackland. Can you see those guys there? Those guys have begun in alcohol. And we imagined that such reality wouldn't reach us. I have lost everything. I remember one day that I went to a gas station in order to buy ethanol to drink with lemon. And then, man, I have to leave this place. I have to quit this. And I always say that São Gonçalo, Rio, nowadays we don't have any kind of prevention project. I believe that lacks in Brazil, right? In Brazil, as a nation, I think it's a global problem. There's not much interest or investment in prevention. In your case, in the Free Mind Project, do you perform lectures? How do you work? Yes. So we do lots of lectures, round conversations. So what do? I go to a rehab clinic and I get them to that place. It's called Priceland. It is one of the only clinics that we have in São Gonçalo devoted to that problem. And it's supported by the church, either Catholic or evangelical. The Mataracá community is great. And I bring those people to Christland and I show them, look, can you see those people here? And then start listen to those stories. So Chris, you're talking about public schools, right? Yes, I'm talking about public schools. Most of the schools are public in poor places. We are devoted to those places. We cannot reach other places. We are respected as a project. People respect us, and then we go there and talk to the kids. So we work with students from the second and third grade, talking about drugs using puppets. And it's something very common in their lives. I remember the first lecture, it was a private school. You see, they were 4 or 5 years old, and the principal said, Chris, aren't they too young for that? And I said, no. And she said, be careful. And when we were talking about cigarettes and alcohol, they mentioned cocaine. They said that their siblings smoked pot and they snorted cocaine. So the principal did not know that. So a risk factor could be the family itself. Nowadays, I'm studying pedagogy, and there are some tasks at university. Sometimes I give lots of advice, and some people say, no, but that topic's too tough to be discussed among kids. Dr. Lotufo is going to mention that in the second lecture, but I believe that you should talk to kids, because kids live with such a scenario since they were really, really young. Of course, you have to talk in a playful way, but you have to work on prevention since they were really young. Yes. If you do not work with that way, you see, Bill and Bob have just arrived. Yes, it's the play. It is the Brazilian version in Rio. So, that's reality. The people I work with, it is surreal. They live that day by day. When I tell them my story, sometimes when they look at me, I say to them, it's a miracle to be alive. And one of the students said, no, just go to church and then you find a solution. And I said to him, no, I remember the first step was religion. I went to a church and the priest said, look, all your problems have been solved. And then the day after, I wanted to drink so bad. There was something wrong. The priest said that I wouldn't be able to drink anymore, and that I met a group inside the church, and he said, look, what the priest mentioned is not true. So we know what happens. We have been through that. So he has never drunk, so he doesn't know what craving is, right? So I started to understand such process. It was a terrible process. And there were people that have been through worse processes and they were recovered. And I tell to the kids, okay, you can get into that, but it's a very high price to pay. I always tell this to students. And somebody said, look, your lectures, they are not so good. Really? Don't think so. I think they're effective. So I have started working with that. So I've begun talking to kids from different schools. One of the students have started using drugs and he left, he quit drugs. Now he trains people to sell things online by Hotmart, and I am his student, and there are other students, other kids that understand the importance of the relation between school and family. So at schools we have lots of kids. In the Cuca Limpa, in the Free Mind Project, you not only talk about drugs, but also other issues, right? Like bullying, which is a major risk factor, right? So lots of studies talk about the relation between bullying and drug use and abuse. Is that so? Yes, it is. We have begun to work with social-emotional intelligence, and in that program, we talk a lot about drugs. From second grade on, and they are 6 years old. I remember one day when I arrived in school, and people say, no, they're too young for that. The principal told me that the kids would play with fake rifles, and then they would play that. And they would bring to school rifle capsules and cocaine capsules to play with. How can you not talk about drugs to those kids? So I said to the principal, shall we do it? Yes. 7-year-old kids. They were so young. Cocaine capsules on the street. So you have to pay attention. So this project can work. It depends on you. So we have begun working with bullying. There are many patients of mine that have started drinking because of bullying. Alcohol is a way to escape from reality. I have lots of patients that have started on alcoholism because of depression, and one led to the other. Child sexual abuse as well. It is a very tough topic. So this has everything to do with drugs, right? Every lecture that we do is very tough for me because kids sometimes say to me, they are 6, 7 years old. My stepfather, my uncle, when he drinks, he does this and that. So we have to intervene. Man, drugs is in that society, and we don't have a prevention policy, a treatment policy. There are some cases in São Gonçalo, some people that devote their lives to that cause, and they love doing that, love helping people, psychiatrists, nurses, lots of people help in the project. But when we talk about a rehab clinic, it's really tough. So those clinics, they depend on donations. Sometimes there is not food for everyone. We have so many people, right? I've been to clinics, and then I say, there's no way a person can recover in that place. That's the reality. There's not enough food. There's no proper medication. And I have lots of patients that depend on drugs, that depend on medication. So when you mention those patients, you mean counseling, right? Yes, counseling, psychology, psychiatry. So it's very common. So when I say to somebody, you need a psychiatrist, maybe you need some medicine, and one day a mom said, so you're going to replace one drug for the other? Yeah, usually carbamazepine is prescribed. And then I said to the lady, so if you want your kid to continue using drugs, or do you prefer your kid to use carbamazepine? Some people suffer from psychophobia. So when you mention a psychiatrist, they suffer from psychophobia. They do not like it. So I started talking about those people. I talk about my life, my experience. It is really good because I start talking about a person that started drinking, and then I show my picture weighing 40 kilos, really bad. They do not believe it's me. It's a miracle to be here alive. But God saved my life. And then I showed the reality in crackland. In churches, for instance, it's very tough to talk about drugs. In our church, we talk about every kind of subject. Father Alan, he talks about drugs in his church. And I asked Father Alan to talk about his experience. Sometimes priests do not want to talk about such a topic. So I talked to this person. Let's go to crackland. Yeah, you cannot pretend that the problem doesn't exist, right? Even among church members. And I usually say that a church, in fact, is not a museum of saints, but in fact a hospital of sinners. People are there because of an issue, right? And when I told the priest that, bring your instruments. And then the priest and I, we brought some instruments in crackland. And the drug users were there, singing, playing the instruments. And then the priest was looking at those people. Yeah. So, you see? But eventually, drug will reach kids. Cigarettes, alcohol. So, Chris, what are the protection factors? If you could list 5 protection factors and 5 risk factors, which ones would you mention? So risk factors, protection factors. The first one is school. The first protection factor during the pandemic, there are no classes, right? So that worries us. Religious institutions could be protection factors. The family itself, for sure. Of course, that many families are tough to deal with, but family is an important protection factor. I also believe that our project, or Lotufo's project, Abiadi's project as well, and I believe that support groups are really important. They are major protection groups. Talking about risk factors, the first one I would say, it's funny to say, but school is a double-edged sword, right? It could be a protection or a risk factor. And family as well, right, Chris? Yes, yes, for sure. For some people, family could be a risk factor. The environment to live, your friends, this could be a risk factor, absolutely. Bullying, sexual abuse, child sexual abuse, child trauma, this could be risk factors, absolutely. So we have the media that works with that. There are some people on the internet that do bad things, like Galindo Tavares. I do not know if you know him. He has lots of followers, and among them kids, and he teaches kids how to grow a marijuana cigarette and how to do drugs. Yes, Chris, so we shouldn't talk about those people, right? Yes, yes. So we have to explain that to parents. Internet can be a risk factor. The child abuser is there offering the first marijuana. So there are lots of risk factors. Thank God we can know that nowadays. In the past, smoking was a sign of glamour. And I hope one day that public policy towards alcohol could be also focused on smoking. The conditions have improved, but as you can see, we don't have advertisements nowadays with alcohol use, but it could get better. Cristiano, unfortunately, we don't have much time, but I would like to ask you a final question and to congratulate you for the project. One day, I've heard an article criticizing such projects, people that talk about their experiences, discussing their problems that some kids would face. So if this person was able to escape from drugs, I can do that as well. How do you react to that? I do have my personal opinion, but what is your opinion on people that criticize actions such as the ones we do? So when I talk about that problem, I mention people that did not recover more often than the ones who recovered, like Chorão from Charlie Brown. So when I mention Chorão, people get sad. Yes, Chris, in my case as well, I show lots of pictures from celebrities. In my case, I am a miracle. I should be dead now. Most people die. They did not recover. I still pay the price, Lu, for my health issues. My father is 69 years of age and he plays soccer. I cannot do that. I'm paying the price. So I always focus on the bad side rather than the good side. For instance, there are lots of stories on Crackland. I've been to Crackland a lot. I work with beggars in São Gonçalo. And when I talk to them about those beggars, they think they chose that. But in fact, in 99% of the cases, they were there because of alcoholism. There are some people that are alive, but just apparently they are dead inside. I always tell kids about that. And the worst thing is when we lose our captor. Our family does not trust us anymore. That's really sad. So people that are clean for 1 month, they hope that their wives respect them. No, of course not. Even when you lend money to a person, right? My dad lent me money after 3 months, after 3 years. It took lots of time to recover trust. So you have done lots of bad things to your wife, so it takes lots of time, even 5 years, for you to regain your respect. So we have to carry that burden. In my case, I talk to kids about people that did not recover instead of the ones who did. And I even mentioned, some people mentioned that they imagine that just poor people are addicted. No, of course not. I show them the real deal of drugs, and everyone is open to that. It is a very negative environment. That's true, Chris. I would like to thank you and congratulate you for your project. And I would like to say something now to quote a quote by Mother Teresa, who says, "What I do is a drop in the ocean, but without it, the ocean would be smaller." So I thank you for your initiative, for the Free Mind Project. I think that all kinds of projects, all kinds of initiatives towards prevention is most welcomed. So it's a pleasure to know you. I do not know you in person, but just online. So I want to congratulate you for being here. I'd like to thank Abead as well. And thank you very much. So the ones who are attending, you can attend project underline Cuca underline Limpa on Instagram. Now, Dr. Lotufo is going to join us. Thank you very much. So this live session is going to be interpreted. Yes, it is. I'm a bit crazy, right? So I've managed to find some volunteers that are going to interpret our live sessions from Portuguese to English and vice versa, for people to know lots of interesting ideas. So thank you very much. If you need any assistance from our project, please tell me, send me a message. It is a free project. Do you want to mention any other thing? No, Lou. Thank you very much. Yeah, I like to listen to Dr. Lotufo's lecture. I'm a big fan of Dr. Lotufo. Yes, I'm a big fan as well. I met him in a conference in Campinas in 2016. Yeah, it was great. Now, Dr. Lotufo is going to join us. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Oh, I'm sorry. You have to leave now. I'm sorry. I'm not so used to performing live sessions, so yes. Okay. Now, Dr. Lotufo.